Bam! A Sopmod has appeared. Houston, the Sopmod. Come in, Sopmod. Would ET like to phone home? Do you need to pull a pour in and restart your computer?
Oh, come on.
Oh, I heard you there. Your Foogie's working. You can do it. I believe in you.
Okay.
I heard the okay.
You have to bear with me. I'm like, I heard the okay. You have to bear with me. I'm okay. Here we go.
Have we stabilized?
Yeah, my headphones like hate to connect to the Bluetooth on my laptop for some reason. I don't. I think honestly the Bluetooth on my laptop is broken. I have no idea what's going on with it. I want to believe it's not broken, but I think it is.
I like my Bluetooth earbuds, but that's mostly for my phone. I'm still an old friend, and I actually have a 3.5 millimeter headset.
Oh, I 110% still do that too as well with my iPod. Uh, I still have an iPod. I don't like stream my music. I actually prefer to own my music so you can't randomly delete it one day, because that's always fun.
Have we? Have you told the story? Like you told me, but do you remember? Have you told on stream before the FBI iPod you had?
Oh, the Al Qaeda pod. No, I did not. Like that was interesting. Yeah, so you can get iPods pretty inexpensively on eBay now, and they're all refurbished ones because obviously you're not going to. I mean, you can find a new one, but you're going to pay like $1,000 because people are like, "Oh my God, it's like historical." So I get this one, and it's not unusual to like, even though they say, "Oh yeah, we've totally wiped it, it's clean," and I get this one, and it's literally like full. Well, not full, but like the entirety of it is like jihadi texts or jihadi like manuscripts and texts from like some guy. And like I googled the guy's name, which is probably a mistake on my part, but I mean at this point, like everything I'm well aware that everything I Google is going to be looked up. But yeah, it like, and I, I actually I emailed the people. I was like, yeah, so I'm going to be sending this back to you, because I'm not really. I wiped it, but I'm not really comfortable with it because it had all this stuff on it. And they were cool with it, and they sent me another one. But yeah, the jihad pod, that was an experience.
uh, I just want to have something light because a little something light to start us off because we're probably going to end up going to dark places with the
Yeah,
subject matter.
This is not like why are you defaulting to that? Yeah, this is like the thing that bothers me is that so many people are willing to believe that like are willing to like go to like do the mental gymnastics that like, oh, this is you know the Chinese government or something like that, or this is the Iranians. I mean, first of all, like if it was something like that, you don't go around with a bunch of flashing lights on it. And second of all, I mean, when the U.S. government tells you, "Don't worry about this, it's not a problem." Come on, man. Like, like, do you think we were born yesterday? I mean, I don't know. That's
The wise Gipper once said, "The scariest words in the English language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
help you exactly. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that seem to still think that that's the case. Um, but yeah, it's definitely not. Um,
I think it would be. I am almost praying at this point that it is aliens because that would be easier and a lot less concerning in the grand scheme of things.
yeah, I mean, I a lot of what I've seen, like probably I would say a good like 90% of the ones that I've looked at, it's a plane. Like it's clearly a plane or it's a helicopter, and it's just somebody that just they
I,
never bothered to look up at the sky until now. And you're seeing a helicopter like coming at you head on, or a
yeah,
plane landing at an odd angle.
yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah. I forget what stream I was watching, but I forget who said this, but I'll paraphrase and actually it is on point. It's really scary to think about how many motherfuckers have never looked up once in their lives and just realize there's shit up there.
oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is too, and the ones in New Jersey, I think it's McGuire Air Force Base. They have refueling planes out there, and the Air Force Base, the Air Reserve Base, that's not far from where I am, and all over Western Pennsylvania. Actually, you'll see refueling planes too because they're out there, and they have like a really weird light formation. That like the first time I saw it, I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?" Then I was like, "Oh, it's KC-135." Or KC-46. But yeah, like there's definitely like weird shit that you'll see in the sky, and there's weird stuff that I've seen that eventually like, oh, it's just a plane at a weird angle. But yeah, the scary thing is how many people just never looked up and never realized like what an airplane looks like. And the other scary thing is that there's so many of these like that are so obvious. What about the ones that aren't obvious, I guess?
Well,
I don't know.
my favorite ones so far are all the stories like it's right there. This is our coordinates. That's like Alpha Centauri or something like that. It's just like
Yeah,
or Sirius B. It's just like this is a well known star. You have never looked up at the constellations before. What the fuck?
no. Yeah. Or like people don't understand, like, okay, I saw something strange in the sky. So like go on flight radar 24/7 or whatever it is, or like 80, I think it's ABS or ADS stack exchange, where like it tracks aircraft transponders. So you can see like, oh, look, there's a like an Airbus flying right over me right now. So it's not a drone. And like the people saying like they were the size of a van or something, like Christ Almighty, if it was the size of a van, like I've I've had an Apache fly over me before, and while you can't hear it when it's coming towards you, when it's over you, you definitely hear it, and when it's leaving, you definitely hear it, and that fucker's loud. So like a drone, you know, that size isn't going to be quiet, and I mean, unless we're talking about like this is literally like close encounters of the third kind here, and like
Well,
we're
I
about to
can't.
start getting
Well,
like I'm gonna start playing in my mashed potatoes or something like that.
I can't be that facetious because I've seen a UFO a few times. It's the green ones. It's pretty much like the green dots that go clear across the horizons at no one's business speed. I've seen that like maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. It's always weird
See,
whenever I notice it, it's like, hey, it's the green one again. And it's like, it's like, yeah, that's neither a meteor nor a satellite nor anything. It's because just like I understand how physics work. It's like, no,
yeah,
you can't go across the horizon that fast. It makes no sense.
the only one that I saw that I really like can't explain away as like light or anything strange was up at Lake Erie. We were camping in Ohio, right on the shore, and evidently it is a phenomenon called Lake Erie lights. Like there are
Yeah, I've
sightings
heard.
up there, and
Yeah,
it was just a ball of light that was just moving really erratically, no noise. Um, We thought maybe it was one of those like lanterns that people let go at a wedding that has a little like has the flame in it, but it just hung around way too long, and it just kind of moved along at its own pace. Didn't seem concerned with anything else. That was the thing that was really like strange about it, was that it was just like, and the funny thing is, nobody thought to take a picture of it either or take a video of it. I mean, this was a while ago. This was over 10 years ago. So, like, it would have been like, 12p picture of it, but still, none of us thought, like, oh, maybe we should take a picture or a video of this.
Well,
So,
it's kind of funny. You read these incidents where like, why didn't the motherfucker take a camera? And then you're in that incident. It's like, okay, now I understand.
yeah, because it's like the last thing you think of because you don't want to take your eyes off it. And like, honestly, like, I look at the quality, and it's so zoomed in, and it's so shaky. And when it's so zoomed in, it's so shaky. Like, I can't even tell what you're looking at. Like, what are you trying to show me? Like, I'm just seeing stars in the sky and streetlights. I mean, I don't know, but the other explanation is it's like you said, it's government trying to do super spooky something in pursuance of whatever goal. I know there.
We were talking about that last night in DMs and stuff, and unfortunately, that's kind of like the main one where we both kind of agree on, and it's just kind of like,
Yeah,
I don't want it to be the case, but it's the case.
yeah, I think that's going to be. I think that's what it's going to turn out to too, because it's just for them. It's it's another way for them to just write in a bunch of like, oh, you want to own a drone? No, we don't. I don't think so. You're not gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, I pulled open a few like I've been posting these drone and alien articles for a while now and stuff, and I pulled up the last few, and kind of like the main crux, probably like my favorite one so far is from the last Zero Hedge one I posted. Former F-18 pilot tells Joe Rogan drones aren't WMD sniffers as drone gate intensifies. It's like, and the kind of hinting towards, yeah, it's just one Tower 7 level gay op.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you a drone wouldn't be completely useless for that. I mean, because I know nuclear emergency search team uses helicopters, but I think you genuinely have to have a person like right there with it because it's so sensitive. Like, even that delay from a drone to a ground station, you could be 500 feet away, 1,000 feet away, and when you're
Well,
looking for a nuclear bomb, like, that's kind of a big deal.
Well, yeah, like the habitual line crosser put out a video, and he kind of nails a point on the head. Him being air defense, he kind of laid it out in that,
Oh,
yes, you can control a drone from really far away. However, your radio frequency is the profile of the sun, in that the amount of energy you have to put into that signal. So if you're like halfway across the country and you're running a drone, we're going to see you.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and the military doesn't mind, doing that because they can do it over they can dump a ton of energy into it and still encrypt it, and it's no big deal. But your average hobbyist, I don't think, has a small substation next to their house that they can dedicate to basically controlling a bus or a van-sized drone. If that turns out what it is. And I really don't even I would be surprised, honestly, if even Iranians or Chinese. I mean, Chinese maybe because they have so much of our information, but I know even Russia really ran into problems with drones and UAVs, that they're really all their stuff is on the smaller side. They haven't really gone to the bigger side yet.
Well, truth be told, also in Russia's case, their development's hamstrung with all the sanctions.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing is too, like, when you have like no domestic like high tech electronics industry, and like your best your best product you can make is maybe like a probably not even a laptop, honestly, because I think they're dependent on everybody else for chips. So I mean, unless you're getting chips from China, which have fun with your Chinese chips, like you had fun with your Chinese tires in 2022. But
Oh, that's a blast from
but
the past. Oh boy.
yeah, but I don't really know what you see all the you see everybody's seen all the pictures from Ukraine of these things dropping grenades down tank hatches and stuff like that. And I mean,
Yeah. So I had a train of thought earlier before stream. I just want to get this out before I forget. I believe the beginning of Drone Gate began with the Ukraine war because like the U.S. military has been using UAVs for a long time now, like the Predators and all that shit, and but they didn't appreciate the tech and the how to use it until the Ukraine war showed them what you can do. And it put the fear of God into the powers that be because, like, for example, the Ukrainians are actually turning away a lot of American drones now because there's so much proprietary shit on it that they're like, we can't do what we want to do. We're just going to make our own. And that's kind of scaring the powers that be of like, oh, if our vassal state can do this shit, what can our civilians do with this shit?
oh yeah, and that's like I know. I think it was an engineering college, I believe, in Kiev that their mobilization was basically like the army or air force, or I don't know who controls their drones, probably the army. Um, Said, hey, you guys, we're not gonna give you a Kalashnikov and send you off to the front line, but figure out how to use these things to delay or deflect the Russian invasion. And yeah, I mean, what is it, like maybe a couple $100 for a drone? I mean, the grenade was probably made in 1973, so it cost 5 rubles, and you're dropping it into, I don't know what a T90 costs, like probably 2.5, $3 million tank. Um, and you're at least mobility killing that tank, if not outright destroying it. I mean, yeah, when we were able to see like what a near I hate to say that Ukraine is a near peer opponent because they truly aren't, but they kind of are because we trained the shit out of their army from 2008 on. And unlike Afghanistan and Iraq, turns out like these people actually can understand things,
Well, okay.
whereas your average Afghan or Iraqi soldier is only loyal to his his township or hamlet or tribe or whatever, and will run away at the first sight of danger. Um, yeah, so it turns out, yeah, we pretty much made an entire country into a killing machine, and they became very good at it too.
No, now
Like,
here's my train of thought. The War on Terror trained a generation of I can't talk soldiers to become terrorists. In that you learned how to be a terrorist, like for all their techniques and strategies and all that stuff. And the war in Ukraine is teaching like a standing army how to be high tech terrorists with all the fancy new toys and techniques because they are developing the techniques and like on the ground technology, like that's where the R&D is happening. Like it's very much like Resident Evil number, like it's like the fall of Raccoon City. It was like one giant field test. The Ukraine
yeah,
war right now is one giant field test.
yeah, and I mean, it's just like I mean, then I forget where. I think it was in Moscow that they got a Russian general with a bomb on an electric scooter. I mean,
I saw, yeah, that just happened like a few days ago. Actually, I don't think it took him out. I think it took out his assistant. But yeah,
I mean, either way, even if it doesn't kill him, just the fact that that happened to you, or the fact that that was able to happen, like that's such a gut punch for anybody in the Russian military who's thinking like, fuck, like is that flower pot gonna like shoot me? I mean, like,
well, the Israelis took out a bunch of people with fucking pagers not too long ago.
yeah,
So
well, true. And then when Syria's government fell, Israel just decided we're just going to blow up everything military in Syria just to be sure. Because I guess they sunk their entire navy, which really wasn't much. But and from what I understand, they started going after planes too. But I don't really know how much is left in Syria, to be honest. I know Russia is busy blowing up or throwing into cargo planes literally anything of value.
yeah, I saw. Yeah, I posted a link earlier. Apparently, they were kind of like, okay, we're just going to lock down. We're going to just lock in and wait for things to blow over. But apparently, over the last like day or so, it's like, no, take everything that is nailed down, and we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's not going to blow over. It's going to turn into another like Libya failed state type thing, and hopefully we're smart enough to not try to like buy weapons from one side and sell them to another. But seeing as that's what we've been doing for the past God knows how many years, I doubt that we'll make that mental leap. Um, but yeah, the drone thing, it is worrying because like you watch 50 of them do a light show or something like that. Like, oh, look, it's the Hollow Live drone show. Well, what if that turns into the Horror Live drone show when the fuckers start like plowing into the audience?
Fuck, I forget what the title is, but there was a PSA short film released a while ago about effectively the danger of drones. You know how it's like, okay, we'll only use it against the bad guys, but then it starts killing people. Like the little drones start killing people, and like you must have seen it. Like the main proponent is like some broad, and then his son's school gets attacked with all these drones, and he
Oh
actually
yeah, I
dies live on
saw
stream.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, that one.
yeah,
It's,
and I mean that's the thing is like you know I don't think people understand like your average well if your average person is not smart enough to look up at the sky, your average person isn't smart enough to realize what like 2.5 pounds of C4 and some screws and nails can do
well,
when you
not
like
even just
underneath the drone.
not even just that. Like honestly, just go straight kinetic. Just fucking, you can ram and just kill someone.
Yeah, I mean that's like honestly it's like what we put on predators now when there's somebody that like well, okay we want to just kill this dude and nobody else. It's a
or
Hellfire missile that basically is like a fucking guillotine.
well,
That
yeah,
just
yeah,
has like
yeah. The Ginsu Hellfire.
yeah exactly. It's just basically like a bunch of steak knives that pop out that friggin' fillet you.
Yeah,
Um,
like I
and
remember
it's
reading about it when
genius.
I remember when I reading about it when it first came out. And it's like, oh, it's kind of neat. And I actually saw a picture of the thing, like the fins deployed. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see. Yep. I'm surprised it took us this long, kind of thing.
Oh, I mean, probably materials engineering and things like that. But, I think part of it was like an aversion to fighting war that way. Like, oh, we don't want to go after one person. It's not about one person, it's about defeating an army on the field, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're not going to.
Well, what were the first? What were the two nuclear bombs dropped in Japan? Those were like, to whom it may concern.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I don't think fighting the good fight works anymore. And that's like a lot of the stuff that I've read about like Taiwan's defense is seems to be inspired by the Ukrainian resistance to Russia's invasion, which I think if China invades Taiwan, that will be the end of communism in China and probably the end of communism in the world, honestly. Um, because I just see that being a horrible decision for China to make because they will not as as many missiles and rockets and artillery shells as they may have. It is I forget how wide the Taiwan Strait is, but man, you are going to have to resupply an army either by sea or by air across a you know across the Gulf, which is always hard.
My thought is that between Putin and Xi, like they both want a Hail Mary before they tap out, and Ukraine was going to be Russia's, and with that there being fumbled, I'm kind of curious. It's like Xi really wants to do the Taiwan funny for his
I
for his
mean,
last Hail Mary, but he's just like, fuck.
yeah, and I mean, like, there's just, like, it always, they say, oh, we've war gamed it, and it would go well for us, blah blah blah. I can't see it going well for them just because I can't see them being able to supply their army. They're basically a lot like Russia too, in that like whenever they show off new equipment, like, oh look, they have 16 new tanks or whatever. Yeah, those are the only 16 they have. Like they don't have, like, it's not like the US Army where we're like, yeah, we have so many M1A1s, we can just give them away. We don't even give a shit. Um, with China, it's definitely like, they definitely have a lot. There's definitely a lot of paper tiger stuff. And I think they got busted too by the Japanese for flying their fighters with fake missiles.
Well, yeah, because I forget if it was China or Russia, but like actually probably both at this point. Like both of their last couple like major fighters, like are literally like insert American platform here, but off of Wish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think for Russia, they with the Su-57, which was supposed to be their new fighter, they've basically just because of the war in Ukraine, the sanctions, and just problems in general with materials and quality and the build quality, just not having access to be able to design an aircraft like that. It's just going to be consigned to just being another research project. I mean,
Yeah,
supposedly they use them in Syria.
fucking
Supposedly they,
research in America did like maybe 20, 30 years ago.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's the thing is, like, if you look at the plan form of the plane, it does resemble some of like the concepts that we had for the F-22, but like it takes all of the worst parts of those concepts because it's Russian, and uses them instead of like the best parts of it. And the Chinese plane, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, I really want to be taken seriously as a military power, but like when you're cranking out as many of them as they're supposedly cranking out, like you're definitely sacrificing something. But no, yeah, yeah,
Someone's sacrificing their pride.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely something. And I know their other plane is just basically almost a carbon copy of the F-35, but they couldn't figure out how to power it with only one engine, so they had to stick two of their engines in it because China's always had it. I don't quite understand it. I think it's probably a sanctions thing, but China's always had an engine problem with all of their aircraft. I just, for whatever reason, they can't get it right. WikiDog, what are you playing Metal Gear? How WikiDog plays Metal Gear Solid more than any person I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, he upgraded from Team Fortress 2 all the time.
Oh, that's not saying much. Metal Gear Solid. Peace Walker. Peace Walker is awful. Come on, give me a break. Oh,
I know. I yelled at him in our group chat to call in, but we all know how the answer to that.
yeah. You're officially called out, WikiDog. Official. I'm putting it on the record.
If you, uh, he ain't invisible, that's for sure. Wink, wink. Yeah. I don't care at this point. I told Uber our little thought on WikiDog, and he doesn't really buy it at the end of the day. I've yet to convince him.
Well, yeah. To be fair, sometimes like I have my doubts on it as well
It was your
because I'm
fucking
not.
idea. You're the one that came up with it.
But I haven't done my due diligence on it lately, and I never really did. But
I don't know. The
I
only thing I still have to go on is that he changes up his game coincidentally when the person in question is streaming.
hmm, that's a pretty
That that
solid one.
that's the big one. That's kind of the one I'm kind of holding on to, but I'm not going to really push it.
Nah, no, yeah. And yeah, Metal Gear Solid, you can definitely like just let the cutscenes play because Metal Gear Solid 4 is basically like cutscene simulator. I think there's like maybe an hour of gameplay in the whole game.
I saw a retrospective of Metal Gear Solid 2 because I remember at the time like the whole Raiden controversy and stuff, and it's just like in hindsight, it turned out good, but at the
No,
time,
like I I remember like kind of being like I wasn't happy because I was like, oh man, what? Not Snake? But then I was like, okay, this dude's cool. Like it's different game, different type of gameplay. Um, and it was visually at the time and visually today too. Honestly, it still stands up pretty good. Um, Metal Gear Solid itself, yeah, for what it is, it's still okay. It's a little fetch questy, but that's just the nature of the game itself.
I've never been a big Metal Gear guy. I consider Kojima the Quentin Tarantino of video games. He just let the guy make movies. But yeah, like the only Metal Gear game I actually like is Revengeance, and that's only because they say fuck it, let's just go full cartoon.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and like if there's a game that needs a sequel, I would say that Revengeance is one that deserves a sequel. But I don't know if they could make a sequel as good. The the Senator Armstrong fight is probably one of my favorite video game moments, and that was played in my adult life. So like that says something because that's just so over the top and so ridiculous, yet at the same time so awesome because your character literally picks up a fucking six-legged spider mech and throws it. I mean,
And
it's so incredibly over the top that it's Kino. Like there's no other way to describe it.
let's not forget it also gave us the greatest Pippa stream of all time.
Oh my god. Oh, like I was honest. Like I'm pretty sure my blood pressure was
I
like
no
200.
you
Like
know
over like
yeah, because I remember that stream specifically. Like me, you, and Wiki Dog were in our group call and stuff, and like even though we weren't in voice or anything, like we were just typing out. I know we were all yelling at the screen. It's like plug in the fucking controller, you dumb cunt.
yeah, there is like you can like the game is designed. You cannot keyboard and mouse that game. Like you can't unless you like want to do it as a challenge and like a really not fun challenge at all. You cannot keyboard and mouse that game. Like you just can't because it was like it was from the time when games were only made for consoles. Um, and it's definitely like yeah once you use a controller it's like oh my god wow this is a lot easier to cut these things like wow why wasn't I doing this before. I don't fucking know. You bashed your head against the wall against him for like an hour at least I think it was before she finally gave in.
Well, the fight, like, even if you speed run if you speed run the boss fight is still like a long fucking multi-stage boss fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not yeah it's probably like the last quarter of the game or so. And the other thing that drove me nuts too is like getting to Armstrong, like that whole last level, like you can bypass like every single fight just by sneaking past the guards because they're fucking retarded. They can't see you at all.
Well,
But
well
she
that
insisted on fighting like the strongest enemies in the game.
well no, I just found no, I found that segment very funny because it's like at the 11th hour, the game remembers. Oh wait, it's a Metal Gear game. There should be stealth.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the one part. It's like the one place in the game where, like, okay, these enemies are super powerful. They gang up on you. They call reinforcements left and right, and there's a ton of shit to hide behind. You can literally just choke people out, hide them, and get like the section she was having the hardest trouble with. Like, I think it took me like maybe 2 or 3 tries, and then I was like, I got the pattern down and was just like straight through them. But yeah, I I I specifically that of every Pippa stream that I've watched, that was probably the one that got me the angriest over her insistence on keyboard and mouse.
Well, I think at the end I was in an incoherent mess of just cackling, like pulling Kamala level cackles of just like I was that mind broken of like, what the fuck am I watching at this point? Holy shit, this is glorious trash.
But, well, it did get us. It also got us Jetstream Sam names, which unfortunately are probably forgotten by now, which is kind of sad because I really think the Uncle Sam memes need to come back. was it was it her uncle that she said she had a dream about with him?
I yeah, I have a vague memory of those two. Yeah, yeah, I think that's what it was.
Oh my god! But no, that stream more than any Pippa stream that I watched, and it's been a while since I watched a Pippa stream. So
It's the
I
same,
think
same.
I think she caters to a different audience than myself at this point. To be completely honest, and no offense meant by that either. I mean, you have to do what you have to do.
Well, no, I think it goes without saying a bunch of us like just not even like talking with each other. Like a bunch of us just drifted away from Pippa, just like like just by happenstance. It's just like okay, no, yeah, not our thing anymore. So okay, that's fine. As long as she's happy, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, as long as she like isn't like necking herself or anything, and she seems to be in a better place in terms of that. Um, that's good enough for me. Um, you know, it's yeah. At the end of the day, she's not supposed to be my puppet on a string or whatever. So whatever makes you happy makes you happy. Sell coffee for the Canadian dude, so he can buy up more real estate in British Columbia.
Speaking of Canada stuff, our government's going to be collapsing soon. Hooray!
Oh, well, wait. I just was There's Sam memes during King of V. Sam took a year break and won against 4 Nintendo. Yes, Sam. Oh yeah, I saw the thing about your. What,
Well, I
wasn't
find
there?
I found it kind of funny because the postal service was on strike for a month and they got ordered to go back to work. Uh, they got told to go back to work yesterday, and between yesterday and today they're just ramping up, and tomorrow is going to be like, okay, doors are going to be open again.
And people wonder why, like, whenever I get the thing in the mail that says you should sign up for getting your prescriptions through the mail, I'm like, absolutely not. That can kiss my ass. Because at
Yeah.
least if I can walk to the pharmacy, I can maybe get something. But man, when the whole mail just decides that we're going to not use, that's no good.
Yeah, but that was just a preview for like it's isn't it kind of funny that the American election this year going the way it did, it collapsed like my country's government because they're having a shit show. Germany,
France,
France. There's a couple
I
other
mean,
ones.
I I honestly think like we're just you know and it's not going to be like people like I remember that around 2000s. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's Chinese century." It's not going to be the Chinese century. I mean, Wuhan flu assured that it will not be the Chinese century because it just showed how completely incompetent that country is. Um, and the stuff with like concrete made out of cardboard, the fact that the Three Gorges Dam is probably going to break at some point and kill like I don't know 500 million people. or
Well,
something.
well, here's the thing with the Three Gorges. The Three Gorges. When, not if, when that thing goes, China's done as a country because that's going to take out pretty much the entirety of its major population centers.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it's definitely not an if. It's definitely not an if. It's a when, because it was just. I don't think like even even if the United States or a competent first world country did it, it would still be a dicey proposition. Actually, they probably wouldn't do it because they'd be like, there's just entirely too much water, and there's one point of failure behind that's preventing it from killing, like you said, a huge portion of our population. But yeah, I just think there's going to be this weird power vacuum because it seems like first world countries ain't so first world anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know if it's a lot of a lot of the problems are going to. I don't know if it's fair or unfair to blame it on illegal immigration or migration in the case of Europe or whatever they want to call it.
Uh,
But it certainly is costing us a lot of fucking money. That's for sure.
And one of the other things we were talking about the other evening is that we, in our lifetime, we are going to see either American Civil War II, insert beanie hat man here, or the balkanization of the states.
I go toward balkanization because I don't think you can. I can't see a civil war like America's too big to have a civil war like
Oh,
1862.
okay, here's my caveat for the Civil War thing. It won't be a civil war between the states. It'll be a civil war between the citizens and the government. Ah, because because the powers that be cannot allow the states to balkanize. They cannot.
Yeah.
Like the federal level cannot allow the state level to do what they want. They can't. It is the very foundation of their reason for existence. They can't allow it.
I think it'll turn into like a Pat Labor 2 type thing where like suddenly out of nowhere one night the next morning you wake up, the army's on the street and you're like, what the fuck happened? And you find out that your governor tried to what you call it call up your National Guard, and the federal government was just like, oh no, that's not going to happen.
Well, when that happens in America, I hope it ends up as Pat Labor 2 as opposed to what just happened in South Korea, because that there was a wet fart.
That was I saw like there's like a 12-second YouTube video of like some South. Of course, like it has it's just like a quick animation, and of course the guy's playing StarCraft 2, and then it's like military coup, martial law, and he's like, what? And then in the next panel, it's like, never mind, LOL. Like what?
No. My favorite thing from that there so far was, let me just take my pull. Was there was a green text that made the rounds of like one of the soldiers, because it's mandatory conscription, so like they have to follow orders and stuff, and they're like, be me. It's like, have to serve. It's like, find out I'm part of a coup, and then people yell at me for my mandatory service. Fuck my life.
Like did they actually had soldiers on the streets? Like
yes.
They actually.
Yes, they had the soldiers out trying to stop. So pretty much what it was the president. He pretty much had the place on lockdown so that the parliament couldn't, whatever they call it, their parliament couldn't go in and vote him out. He had the army stop the politicians from getting in the building to cast the vote.
That's like why. Just have them arrest. Come on, man! You follow the Assad playbook. Have the army open fire on those guys. Like, if you want to be serious about it. Like,
well, no, that's a joke. That's like the whole coup was so limp wristed. It's just like it's like SpongeBob meme. It's like, that's it. It's like,
Yeah,
or like when when Pringles tried to march on Russia, and then he stops at the last hour. It's like, motherfucker, can we stop all the blue balling? Can someone get a pair and just do it?
yeah, it's happening until it isn't. Like, which is like 5 minutes after you think it's happening, it's not.
Well,
Yeah,
the soy jack meme of nothing ever happens is real, and I hate it.
eventually something is going to happen, though. I honestly think the Syria thing is a bigger happening than people give it credit for, because
Oh, I agree.
I think the thing that people are going to find in Syria, and the people that we don't want them to find, is that there are still a lot of chemical weapons there. And guess what? Syria probably developed biological weapons too. And while I know these things aren't super hard to make, it's a lot easier when somebody's already made them for you, and all you have to do is just leave it, in a mall, or in a parking garage, or in an airport or something.
Yeah, like the problem is a lot of glow in the dark CIA type of folk and stuff. There has been a lot of false flags over the years when it comes to like WMD. Well, okay, well, it's like the whole bunch of stuff. But I mean, like after that, there was a lot of sketchy incidents and stuff of like gaps and false flags and stuff. But that they're kind of what I'm getting at is all those false flags discredits the actual threat that there is actually shit there.
And the
And
funny thing is, Gaddafi willingly gave up all of his stuff, chemical weapons, and I don't know if he had a bioweapons program or not. He probably did. And look what it got him. It got him, it got him to Europe to tell him to get the fuck out of there, because he refused to go off the gold standard, and he wanted to basically keep the oil money for investment in his own country, and he wanted to nationalize the oil industry in Libya. And look what that got him. Boy, welcome back to the international community. Enjoy being beheaded and dragged through a public square.
yeah, it's like, well, what's the order of operations? Don't touch America's boats. Don't claim that you've created free energy. Don't fuck with the oil price or price of the gas pump. What else? Like like all those trains of thoughts of don't do the thing or else bad things will happen to you.
Yeah. And that's just Libya is like, it's still a mess. It's going to be a mess probably perpetually. But yeah, I don't know. I just it's just the feeling that things are wrong, and I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if it's different for different generations. Um, but I
I don't know.
mean,
We're largely contemporary, and we're mostly on the same page. Like I agree with you.
like there's stuff that ain't right. Like when I go to the grocery store and I look at how much shit costs, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And like, it is literally the frog in the boiling pot of water, the frog in the you know pot of water that you slowly boiled. Like at some point, I became okay paying like 3 times as much for something, and how that happened, I don't know. Like, because it feels like it went by in a second.
We were always at war with East Asia.
Yeah. It's starting to seem like that. Like honestly, and I don't think, and you see people on both the far left and far right in this country, um, saying, oh my God, things are gonna, the far left is, oh my God, like Trump's gonna put me in a prison camp. Nobody's gonna put you in a fucking prison camp. You're not fucking important enough. And seriously, if somebody's gonna do something to you, guess what? Like one day you're just gonna have a fucking heart attack, or your car, or like the brakes on your car aren't gonna work. I mean, that's it. I mean, nobody's going to waste the expense to put you in a prison camp when we can just as easily kill you, and nobody gives a shit. Like that, who was it, a Democratic staffer or Republican staffer that literally got fucking headshotted in DC, and they didn't even take, like, left his wallet, his phone, and everything else on him. Like, come on, get the fuck out of here. That's a hit, like plain and
Well,
simple.
well, yeah. It's just like the two shots to the back of the head. Yeah, oh yeah, this is clearly a suicide. It's like, come on.
Yeah, like I mean, at least fucking go take out the guy's wallet, like take his credit card and like go try to buy like a $500 gift card for you know, Steam or something. I don't know. Like, oh my god, it's like it's so bad. And like oh no,
What
I don't know how much YouTube will allow me to say about
I
CEOs, but that
I
whole
don't care.
yeah, yeah, like that is just I want to add because I watched the mayor or the governor of New York, Hochul, saying that like, oh, I won't tolerate the death of anybody regardless of their status, or the murder of anybody regardless of their status or their job. I'm gonna be like, lady, if this dude was like some homeless guy and this guy walked up and popped him, you wouldn't give a shit. There wouldn't be a award. There wouldn't be an issue with extradition. Nobody would care. The only reason you care is because this guy is because the Luigi proved that guess what? You can be one of the most powerful men in America and you can still get fucking popped walking out of the gym at 9 in the morning or 7 in the morning or whatever time it is.
My favorite thing about this whole situation with this CEO assassination thing is that Occupy Wall Street's back on the menu, boys. Yeah.
I hope it, and I hope honestly that we're past the point where identity politics get mixed into it, and it's just literally about the fucking money. Like honestly,
I think that card ran out of steam. So I think we're good for that.
I hope so because like honestly, I think if you want to like there should be required reading for Occupy Wall Street. And if you haven't read like Wolf of Wall Street, if you haven't read The Big Short, and like you don't understand the basic concept of like I don't expect everybody to understand how how a mortgage backed security works, but kind of understand like how you can put garbage in with good stuff, and the garbage basically the garbage is a cancer cell that's just going to spread to everything and anything and destroy it. And that's basically a good way to describe our economy now, because instead of mortgage backed securities, now we're starting to have student loan backed securities, because that's a
I
fucking
remember
great
when
idea.
I remember when I first heard about that being a thing. I was like, no, but then it's like, yeah,
That's
that's retarded,
great.
yeah, and
That's
that's totally
great.
something they would do.
That's a great idea. The loan that has the highest percentage of default, let's put that in a security. Because the thing is, like, there is a lot of people that do pay off their student loans. Like, I actually made my last payment last February, I think, last February or last March. So I am done, thankfully. And that only took me almost 20 years after I graduated. But I also made my payment really, really low um, on purpose. But I just was I heard somebody talking. They have a doctorate in psychology. They owe $400,000.
How?
$400,000. And you know, you only have a doctorate in psychology, so the best you can be is a psychologist. You can't be a psychiatrist. I don't think, at least, because I think you have to do the medical actual like residency stuff for that, and they still have to go through the licensing process, which is several, which is, I'm assuming, a 5-digit figure for that as well.
Yeah.
So, like, I just, I can't understand how, and I looked at tuition for my alma mater. It is more for 1 year than it was for me to go for 5.5 years. So,
I'm not terribly surprised.
and that's in the space of 20 years that it's changed, 19 years, because I forget when I graduated. It's not because it was like my last year and a half were kind of a blur. um that's what happens when you change majors and you only need like 2 or 3 specific classes. So you end up getting stuck in college for a really long time.
Nah, I had a I'm getting old moment in that I recently started playing Turtle WoW, which is a private server of World of Warcraft, and I was just like, it's 2024. This game came out in 2004 when that was my second year of university, and like 20 years later, I'm back to playing this game. And like, I don't know
I'm
how I
trying
feel
to
about
figure out.
that. I don't know how I feel
I'm
about
trying
this.
I'm trying to figure out how to get Red Alert 2 to work on my computer again. Because it worked on my old laptop, but for whatever reason, my new laptop, it doesn't want to work on it. So, but yeah, that's,
I wonder if Red Alert's on GOG.
I believe it is because I think it's on Steam, honestly, because there's a remaster, I think.
So Steam doesn't count. As much as I hate CD Projekt Red as a company, their service for playing old games on new systems is good. Command and Conquer Red Alerts on there.
Yeah, I know the original's on there. I don't know why they won't. Well, there's probably now that I think about it, there's probably whatchamacallit with the voice acting in Red Alert 2 and some of the um
Oh, copyright
name
issues.
image like name image likeness stuff. There it might be too expensive to license all that or something.
Yeah. Normally you hear about that stuff with like music and games, but yeah, that there's also a thing too.
But I don't know. Oh man, that yeah, that makes me feel old. Steam, why are you so slow today? Steam replay. You review your year on Steam. Well, I didn't play any video. Play any video games this year. Steam. So I think I have Command and Conquer actually. Yeah, Command and Conquer Remastered Collection. What does this include?
I don't know. Maybe you just didn't sacrifice enough servitors to the machine spirit to get it to work.
No, because I actually the funny thing is with Terra when we were playing with Pippa, I actually had Terra on an external hard drive because it just took up it just bloated so much space because it was so poorly optimized that I was like, I am not putting this on my regular I'm not putting this on my regular hard drive. This was before I had a SSD.
I don't know.
Or no, I had an SSD then.
I don't know. I was playing Terra 2 along with everyone else, and my computer survived, even with all the Korean spaghetti code.
Dude, that game was that's an example. It was I could definitely see how you could waste a lot of time in that game, but at the same time, it was very, very, very same, very doing the same thing over and over again. But I guess that's any MMO, and that probably explains why I didn't, or I never was really a fan of MMOs.
I know. I'm trying to con people into playing Turtle WoW with me, if for no other reason, just to get a guild fired off, so I have more storage space to throw shit in.
See, I can honestly say I have never played World of Warcraft. Never.
Probably better off for it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It was the before the dark times of Blizzard. It was good. It was fun for what it was, and I still have member berries for it, or else I wouldn't be playing it right now.
See, that's kind of like I kind of want to try to get StarCraft to work, or try to see if I can get StarCraft to work because like I do have good memories of it, um, despite it being like a punishingly brutal game at some points. But
Oh yeah, I never bet StarCraft one legitimately. I cheat coded my way through the game.
like trying to beating StarCraft legitimately like is should be like that was back before games had achievements. Like that should be like achievement unlocked. Like holy hell, what did you do, man? Like because beating that game, that I remember that being like one of the harder like RTSs. Just because the computer didn't even cheat. The computer was just had so many more resources than you and knew how to optimize everything 100%, and you just kind of were left at its mercy.
Yeah, like I remember, like I watched a speed run of StarCraft One like a year ago or something. It's like watching like the 5 minute Mario Brothers One video and stuff. It's just like seeing the full playthrough of it, like just a speed run of it. I'm like, was I just that stupid as a kid?
So, there's a video that keeps popping up, and it's like, can you beat StarCraft using only Marines? And I'm like, I can't, I can't see you being able to do it unless it's like just literally like you're doing Zerg, you're doing opposite Zerg rush, but like Terrans don't really Zerg rush well, so I don't know.
Well, I do respect. No, I don't think it is because I do remember a couple campaigns where specifically you need to get the battle cruisers, you need to get the Yamato cannon to
Yeah,
specifically take out long range targets outside of your range, and that's specifically what you have to do for a couple campaigns or missions.
yeah, yeah. So I don't think it really. Yeah, and yeah, there's just Marines get like mauled by Zerg. Marines get mauled by Protoss. Like they're not really good for much unless they're in a bunker. Honestly, at least that's what I remember. Like I remember
Well,
they
that
were.
no, I was a big Protoss player, so like the bunker with a bunch of Marines were my photon cannons.
I was. I played Zerg mostly, and just because I don't. People said I don't. I don't think Zerg was easy. Zerg was actually hard. The only bonus was that like your I think your unit production was a little bit faster, but it was Zerg was easy early game, but late game Zerg really dropped off. But they did have that one ridiculous air unit that could like fucking one shot almost anything. I forget what it was,
A
but
Guardian?
it's like I
Or
think it's like the evolved form of whatever their flyer was.
their flyers the Mutalisk, and it has two evolved forms: the Guardian and the Scourge. Not Scourge. Fucking, I forget what it's called. But you have you have the long range one that can only attack ground, and then you have the flying one that can only attack flying.
Yeah, I think the long range one that could only attack ground because it could like demolish buildings like super fast. If I'm remembering correctly,
Yeah, no,
I
no,
might not be.
you are thinking correctly. That there's a Guardian. It's specifically
Okay.
long range, only attacks ground.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because I remember that like once you got a decent amount of those, as long as you like managed them and kept them out of harm's way, like you were pretty much set against against especially Protoss because you're just like, oh, pylons, destroy them. Okay, problem solved.
The more innocent days.
Yeah, now like I was in Target today and I just looked through their electronics section and I felt sad because like I remember what the electronics section looked like at Christmas when I was a kid or when I was not even a kid, a teenager, and just like because I for whatever reason I was looking at a Nintendo Switch because I was like, I wonder like is this thing worth it? Like is it like just can I just make it like a Super Nintendo essentially? And like there was maybe like 20 different games you could get and they all seemed like variations on the same theme. And I was like, man, like who like why? Like when how did we like get sucked into so many like basically binary choices anymore?
Because people are stupid and don't like choice.
Yeah,
And they
yeah, I mean that's what it is. And I mean like the PS5 section was even worse. There's like 12 games total for a PS5 to the point where I want to be like, what's the point of even owning a PS5? Please, somebody explain to me.
someone should make a Seinfeld sketch out of this. What's the deal with modern gaming?
Like I briefly considered a Switch, but like I can't justify the cost of a Switch, and I think you have to Nintendo Online. You have it's a subscription, right? It's not free. Like, of course, it's not free. Nothing would be free anymore.
Well,
Um,
I knew it was going to be an online service when they killed off the e-store, the e-shop. Once they closed the e-shop, that was like, okay, yeah, that's it. I'm done.
okay, Yeah, okay. So that make okay, so I can't like just get whatever I want to whenever I want to, which
No, like
that's the thing.
I spent like a few $100 on my 3DS, but not like to get it. It was all those eShop, all like NES, Game Boy, Super Nintendo, like all those old games I downloaded. It's literally limited to my hardware now because I can't go out and get it.
See, that's the thing. And that's what bothers me about Steam with their new user agreement, which is basically like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna do the same thing, which means that like you could have bought this game and guess what? Sorry, sucks. Don't we don't have it anymore. I mean, I don't know how hard they're gonna go on that, but or
Well,
and I don't know.
Well, that's the reason
Maybe
why I can count on one hand the number of games I bought on Steam. That's only because I had no other option. Everything else is on
yeah.
GOG because I can actually have the goddamn install files.
Yeah, that's I might have to switch honestly to GOG at this point because I really don't like the idea of at some point like my half of my Steam library disappearing. But at the same time I can kind of see why they did that because there is a lot of garbageware on Steam. Like I never realized how many just really awful games there are on it. Um until you like go looking for something like
Well,
Sex with Hitler or whatever.
I have a bunch of free games. Like I have a bunch of free games listed on my account just because like it's like oh for free it's like free. Well, okay, I really need to walk back what I was just gonna say because I have a fuck like the majority of my GOG account is free games I just got from like promotions and shit.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. The majority of my games on Steam. God, I never even played. Oh, I definitely need to do. I haven't played the updated Hollow Cure yet, and like I'm kind of avoiding doing it because I don't need to like waste however much of my life.
I haven't touched Hollow Cure in forever. Like I haven't seen any of the major updates
The
since.
major update is whatever generation Marines in. Um, I think that's Gen 3. That was the last update. And like I think there's two or three more levels. What the hell? When did I buy all these games? Jesus Christ. Euro Truck Simulator. Did I buy Euro Truck? I bought Euro Truck Simulator before it was cool.
You fucking hipster.
Let me see. I must have knew something was up because I'm looking at like when I bought games and there's like a ton of games that I bought in December 2020. So I must have like been like, I know this is going to be another shit year. I know 2021 is going to be another shit year with COVID. So because I see all these games that I bought then.
Yeah, instead of like a bunch of bottles on the ground, it's like, oh, I drank that much last night. It's more like, why is my Steam library so big?
Oh, regular. Oh, okay. I do have Red Alert. It's in the Command and Conquer Remastered Collection. I did. I was like 99% sure it was in there because that's why I bought the game more than
Yeah,
Command and Conquer.
you were probably looking just for that game where when it was in the collection. So
Yeah,
that
I
was it.
remember. Now that I think of it, I bought it more for Red Alert than Command and Conquer because I actually Command and Conquer I actually don't like the original game. I actually don't terribly like that much because it's not. This hurts me to say this because logically it doesn't make sense. I don't like the balance in Command and Conquer, but I like the balance in Red Alert 2, which is non-existent.
That's like saying you like playing Mortal Kombat, but you only play Cabal.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, CNC 95 did age really bad. Like it's just and the funny thing is the original Red Alert. I think aged really well compared to the original compared to CNC 95. But that's that's like saying I'd rather have like AIDS than cancer or something like that.
I don't know. As far as the Command and Conquer series, which one is classified as cock and ball torture?
Um, Probably the original game, honestly. Or Red Alert 3. I really don't like Red Alert 3. Um,
I remember a lot of my friends liking it, but I never played it.
and generals can get close to cock and ball torture too, just because the computer cheats like a motherfucker. Like, and there's nothing you can do about it. And the terrorist faction, all their stuff is way undercosted for what it actually does.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it's really the Red Alert and Red Alert 2 are really the only two games, honestly, that I think out of the bunch that are worth in 2024 that are worth playing. I mean, the some of the other Tiber I never really got into the other like Tiberian Dawn or whatever it was, or Tiberian Sun or whatever it was,
Tiberian
the
Sun.
quote unquote sequel to Command and Conquer, because it just I don't, while I like walkers in certain environments, in Command and Conquer, I just want tanks, honestly. The it looked nice. I guess that's the best way to describe it. But it just, I don't know. It didn't feel like a Command and Conquer game to me. It felt just like generic sci-fi RTS to me. Which,
Wasn't that like the entirety of RTSs in the 90s?
yeah, unfortunately, and I remember like being super limited, and Total Annihilation being like, because I had a Mac, so Total Annihilation was like my game of choice, which actually is one of the RTSs that is, when I say balanced, I mean like there is literally a counter for every unit in the other units in each army. So like it is literally like counter for counter. Yeah, Total Annihilation is worth playing. I don't know how janky it would be on a modern PC, because there is a lot of particles in it. Um, and it was just kind of, well, it never ran bad for me on my Mac, so I guess it probably isn't that bad. But it's worth playing, especially with if you play the version that has all the expansions. The two factions really balance each other out, so you're never really feeling like, oh, these people have a way better advantage at X, Y, or Z than me. You're pretty much evenly matched, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. About the only difference I remember is like their base defenses. One side has better range, and the other side has better what you call it, better armor or better hit points. But I think honestly, I was never one to build base defenses in real time strategy. It's just a waste of money. Build units.
You shut your whore mouth. I play turtle. I always go like towers and base
Even
defense.
even if you turtle, it's still better to turtle with units, because then you at least your turtle can move. Like you can turtle with long range units behind your like meat shields.
I acknowledge this, but however, my monkey brain's like tower go pew pew.
Unless you want to do like unless you do the whole like expanding frontline thing where you're just basically building base defenses to the enemy and then just winning that way.
I did that I played BattleNet a lot, and that was one of my main strategies with Protoss. Was literally just send out a probe, pylon, a bunch of cannons, and put a fucking uh, gateway there. Start pumping out dragoons and just go ham.
Yeah, I mean it's a legitimate strategy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I can't say. I mean, honestly, like I've pretty sure in Command and Conquer on some of the small. Well, you can't do it as well in Command. Yeah, actually, no, you can do it as well in Command and Conquer because you can build off of walls and sandbags. So yeah, you were able to build up to an enemy's base, but they took that fun out in Red Alert. Um, so you could only, but you could still build pretty fast, and it's like insane. Like I'm watching with the time I've had, like I've been watching, like I watched a bunch of like quote unquote, I guess, ranked matches in regular Red Alert. Like the way these guys build stuff, I'm like, geez, what do you guys like? How many hours a day do you play this game? Like, please tell me.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, like the answer is like I probably don't want to know.
It's like, well, it's either this or have a life, and it is my
Yeah,
life.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I've been on an internet detox for a while, so but
I've noticed, but good for you though.
yeah, and I though I kind of it's kind of a bad thing though because like the stuff like with Korea, like that like took me by shock. Um, the stuff with well, the stuff with Syria wasn't really surprising because I knew that was eventually going to happen. That's just the way that that cookie was going to crumble, but I thought he would be able to hold on a little longer. I was surprised that it fell apart so fast.
And to bring it back to our opening subject, and now you back on the internet, is drones and or aliens.
I don't know. I think if it was going to be some if it was going to be some stupid if it's going to be government fuckery, I feel like they would have done it by now. But the fact that they come out today and like vehement, like very like strongly worded say these things are nothing to worry about. It's not anything malicious, blah blah blah. Like just so clearly say that. You're basically telling me like, okay, I should be hiding in my basement with my tinfoil hat on. Like
Yeah, that's like a doctor saying like, don't worry about it. I immediately become worried.
yeah, and that's the thing is like that the the thing that scares me the most is the quote unquote internet of things. Like because guess what? Surprise! I got diagnosed with sleep apnea. So guess who has to sleep with? Guess who? Achievement unlocked. CPAP machine. Luckily, I can sleep pretty well with it. I guess the whole like not breathing when I was sleeping thing actually like was affecting me. But anyways, like they can monitor this thing remotely. So like, does that mean somebody can make it stop fucking working remotely and like you know that's the thing that kind of concerns me with that. Like the whole Internet of Things to me is just waiting for one malicious person to like pull a ending of Fight Club on it.
Would that be a really bad thing though at this point? Be honest.
It's hard. It's a hard question to answer. Like because like I see I don't know if you probably I don't know if it's in Canada or not, but like for sleep apnea in the United States, there's actually an implant now that does some kind of electrical stimulation or something to make sure you're breathing right. And the first thing I thought about that is, okay, it's connected to an app on your phone, which means it's connected to the internet, which means somebody can get in there and it doesn't take very much to fuck up your heart in terms of electrical
Yep.
impulse or electricity.
Yep.
It's more about amperage or whatever. Either way,
The unit of
somebody
measurement
can.
needed is not small. Is not that big.
Yeah, either way, somebody can get in there and really do a fucky wucky on your body. Um, if they are able to access this thing remotely, and that just kind of like we're okay with that. Like somebody's like, yeah, I'll put the app controlled possible death machine in my body. Just like the Chinese thing with like oh yeah, we're gonna put a giant satellite in space for we're gonna put the largest object in space for solar power. Get the fuck out of here. Hitler tried to do the same thing. It was a death ray.
Yeah, well, going back on the Internet of Things and stuff, uh, people not seeing the forest for the trees when it comes to the Terminator franchise was like, ooh, scary robots. It's less about the scary robots, and that Skynet was literally the Internet of Things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's I I don't. Yeah, that just like the and I mean, call it American education or whatever. You don't trust the Brigitte cybersecurity. No, I do not, unfortunately, because I can tell you right now, they protect your money, and believe me, they don't do a very good job of it. Um, but
The
no,
devil, you
like
say?
I purposely avoid buying like quote unquote smart devices because I'm like, why would I want something smart? Like
Yeah,
why?
I'm the same. I'm the same way. Let Luddites rise up.
Like the most sophisticated thing in my kitchen is my microwave. Like there's no reason that like my refrigerator needs to tell me I need to buy more milk. Like that like I can handle like believe it or not, like my brain can handle that level of quote unquote stress to like realize that I need to look at what I need to buy when I go grocery shopping. What the
I'm
TV's
sorry. I'm sorry. The notion of like you require going back to RTS, you require more milk. It's like fuck off.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah. Like I don't and I think that's I don't know, like that kind of would I be more concerned if people if there were if these are drones or UFOs or whatever and people didn't care than I am that people seem to be saying everything in the sky, including the moon, is a drone.
Well, at least if nothing else, let's say the hypothetical, it's a gay up. It's a gay up from the feds. It shows that whatever they're doing, they're not getting away with it effectively when it comes to attention. So progress.
But maybe they don't want to get away with it. Maybe it's just a social experiment.
Yeah, yeah. Because one of the articles I had open up in my browser was the one of those security defense acts or motions or bills or whatever you want to call it, and this here becoming a justification of like let's tweak it a bit. It's like
Yeah.
can you not?
Yeah. I mean, it's or maybe it's just to see like, okay, how many of these things can we put in the sky before people start to notice? Like
It's like
or before
yeah, it's like what can we get away with?
yeah, like and I mean, I don't know why they'd be flying them with lights on. I mean, just well, probably specifically like if your goal is to like see okay, when will the sheep notice the wolf? Then like okay, then maybe that's why you're flying them with lights on.
Well, it's kind of funny, especially like early on when people were straight UFOs and stuff. Even like I know what FAA lights look like and stuff. It's like yeah, that's a drone because it's literally has like mandated by law like those specific color of lights.
Hey, but maybe just maybe the aliens are like, hey guys, the FAA, the International Civil Aviation Organization, serious business on planet Earth. So we need to make sure we have navigation lights on our spacecraft that can travel across light years in a matter of hours, okay? Because we wouldn't want to run into one of their planes. Like maybe they're just like they just like really like to follow the rules.
Oh no, we're being invaded by bureaucrats.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in which case they found the fucking perfect planet. Like seriously, maybe they're honestly probably already here in that case.
They live was a cautionary tale this entire time. Wow.
It's funny that it comes back to They Live because I sent it to two of my friends when I was in Target. Like I guess in their electronics section, they have like their quote unquote collectible toys section. They had a figure of the what the person looked like when you put the sunglasses on
Was it a
with
Funko
a
Pop? Was it a Funko Pop?
yeah, not
I
as a
knew
Funko
it.
Pop, but like as a fake as a like one of those other companies. And
Oh,
like the
knockoff.
book,
Okay.
the book or whatever he had said buy. And I'm just like, oh man, come on. Wait a minute. I'll send the picture to myself because I was like, man, like, this is the fucking definition of irony, like right here. Like you complete like, and I hope, well, I wish the best for John Carpenter. So, like I hope that he makes as much money off of it as he can. But yeah, like it was just it was just like too much. Somebody say Funko Pop.
God damn it, Hawkeye. Will you stop bombing me with that fucking hideous picture?
Is this? It says he. I'm like clueless on that guy, but I'm assuming he's a Funko Pop enthusiast.
I forget the context, but I think it's one of those Collider knockoff, like get excited for other product meme.
Get excited for product. Everybody loves product. You need new product. You must. Okay. Fuck you, computer. Goddamn. Like, I swear to God, as I get older, technology gets harder for me to use.
But is it the newer technology or the technology you're using this entire time? Or
Yes.
Poke no los dos?
Okay. There we go. Yeah, there's the picture. Like that is just, and it's NECA too, so it's garbage to begin with. To me that is like peak, like
How dare those sexist bigots? They say male. Did they assume it's gender?
an alien who identifies as male probably would have been more correct, to be fair. But yeah, like I just like was I saw that and I was like, wait a minute, like the only thing better would be if instead of I actually think the female one, instead of saying buy, it says consume on the little magazine accessory.
Okay, yeah, that'd be clever. A little too clever for the target uh, people who would be buying such crap.
Yeah, this guy doesn't look like looking at the picture of this guy. This looks like an AI. Like I get like that's an AI picture. Like he doesn't look like an actual person. God, I don't want to go down to Funko Pop. Like,
Can we not say we did?
yeah. Like, genuine unsettling. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the dude from the Funko pick is like, if something like that would be something that they would try. This is going to sound super schizo, but
Go for it.
I'm starting to realize the crazy people are maybe like the sanest people around anymore. If I was the US government, like where I would try out my super advanced AI would be on something as stupid as a Funko Pop channel, just to see if I could get a bunch of people to believe that this is an actual real person who actually is really doing things and actually like has quote unquote real interactions with people.
Okay,
If that makes any sense at all.
you know the Metal Gear Solid 2 AI speech.
Yeah.
Okay, my headcanon for that in real life is 4chan. 4chan was the testing grounds for like the current AI zeitgeist.
Honestly, I mean, at this point, 4chan is just AI training. Like that's all it is. I know people use it as an AI. I know it's used as an AI trainer.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, but I think like literally like like DARPA level fuck you money went into 4chan for like
Oh,
for all that
oh,
shit.
absolutely. Because the amount of stuff that I got off of 4chan that you should not be able to have, um, in terms of not or the amount of stuff that let me put it this way, the amount of stuff I got off 4chan that should be harder to get than it was, like in terms of field manuals from other countries, things like that. Like, yeah, there's no way the US government should have been like okay with leaving that site up. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, like it was definitely on purpose.
like I mean, when you can download the field manual for like how to use a Javelin rocket launcher, and it's something's weird. And just like with all the stuff that went on to with all the stuff that went on with SOC or SOC, I mean with like legitimate fucking human trafficking, um yeah, like there's no reason that that site should still be up. I do miss old K though. I miss old K. I miss old Toy. Uh, I really miss old M. M was probably my favorite board, but it is a shadow of its former self.
Thankfully, I was never really gotten the 4chan because for me it was the website formatting. I was just not a fan of like how the thread cap like the thread cap being that low, and it's just like trying to follow conversation and stuff. It was just it was too much a deviation from a proper forum as far as the flow goes, and I just couldn't get into it. And thankfully, in hindsight, and for the best, because I allowed the internet, either like Know Your Meme, Reddit, or like other places that would steal. It would effectively curate, like all these other sites would curate content, and like instead of going through the slog and trying to find all the shit and stuff, like the best stuff would just float to the top, and I would just see it somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing is that was what was nice about the and like people really got like when Moot was around, like a new board was a big deal. I mean, I don't know anymore. It seems like there's a new board every 2 weeks now, but like some of the like boards were a lot slower. Like Toy was really slow. M was decently slow. K was pretty fast. Um, and if if you went, well, B was B. I mean,
As someone who grew up on B, I'm so sorry.
yeah, yeah. I I was never really a fan of B because it was just too. It just went too far. It's just like I was never a fan of A either. I mean, aside from a couple recommendation threads, or like if I wanted to see if I wanted to like bother to actually download a show, I really didn't spend that much time on A because A was just pretty much your anime sucks, my anime is better. And I want to be like, look, all of this shit sucks. We all know it sucks. We're still gonna watch it. Can we just stop fighting about it? Like,
Gramps, you know me. Could someone like me be a product of anything but be? You're the product of communism and cocaine.
Oh, somebody from Venezuela?
See? Yeah, you got it immediately. I think I was the first one to figure out he was from Venezuela, and he was just like, "How the fuck did you know?" It's like I just had a hunch.
So how does internet work in Venezuela? I
Well, it
mean,
doesn't now.
I guess like Starlink, maybe. I don't know.
No. Haka is an enemy of the state. He bailed. He bailed from Venezuela ages ago.
Huh. But I don't know. I don't. Yeah, the drone thing. The more I think about it, the more it just doesn't make sense to me. But
I'm still going. I'm going to die on the hill that it is literally a gay up.
yeah, I there's something not being said. Um, and the the fact that they said the fact that they had a classified briefing about it tells me that okay, so you used the surveillance asset to either a radar plane or some kind of electronic communications to see what's going on, but you can't let the general public know that. And you know, for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't pretend to understand what my government does and why I have to pay them so much in taxes.
I know why I have to pay my government taxes because my government is a bunch of communists.
You know, we well, I don't know which direction this next 4 years is going to go because it's either going to be a shit show. Well, it's going to be a shit show, but it's either going to be a funny shit show or it's going to be a man. I wish I had started growing my own food a lot sooner shit show.
It's gonna be an entertaining shit show because I do believe this wholeheartedly, that there are forces in motion beyond Orange Man at this point, and that him and Musk and like his ragtag team of colorful characters is going to be entertaining stuff, but like the powers that be and just the way things are, I think we're kind of reaching a zenith or a conclusion to a bunch of tomfoolery. Like you know how the pandemic was one giant gay up. Like yeah, it actually like the Chinese fucked up and all that shit and stuff, but like the the plan to use that crisis to their advantage, like that their shit was there. So I'm kind of wondering, okay, what's their next plan? Because if that there went over, like the last one went over like a lead balloon and stuff, I mean, because the crisis of competency, as I've said this before, there's a crisis of competency, and it goes like from bottom to top, like all across the board. So like when the funny happens, there is no one competent to deal with it, and that's the scary part.
Well, it's just got me thinking. Um, it's an awful book, and I don't recognize reading it because there's much better science fiction. But in Three Body Problem, the whole thing where they like the aliens broadcast like you are bugs on everything. Maybe somebody got the idea from that, like to do this fucky wucky stuff with drones and try to do something like that to scare us into a common defense against an unknown enemy or something like that.
Well, I've always been a proponent for a long time that it would take something of like an existential species wide threat for us to get our shit together. Now it's kind of like the Watchmen. It's literally the plot of Watchmen.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the idea of unifying against a common threat and stuff, as long as it's a natural threat and not an artificial one. A la Watchmen.
See, that's the thing is like I remember the book is called The Killing Star and it's probably one of the better alien invasion books written. And one of the like at one point there's a conference of scientists, and they said that like I forget if it was from this book, if it was from that book, or it was something else. And like it was like we finally get a response to our radio messages that we've sent out into space, and the response is like, "Be quiet, they're listening."
Oh, effectively, the plot was the dark forest hypothesis.
Yeah, exactly. That any time alien race, there's a sufficiently advanced alien race that anytime they detect any other alien race, just automatically sends like self-replicating probes to destroy them because they could possibly be a threat.
I am a very big fan of the dark forest hypothesis. I'm a really big fan of that.
And if you think about it, like basically it makes sense because so much of humanity is a zero-sum game. And honestly, a lot of nature is a zero-sum game too.
Yep.
So it kind of naturally would make sense that like that's the way the universe works too. Um, it's scary as hell, but whoever gets to the top of the hill, putting the giant squid back in the jar. Oh no, let the giant squid go. That would be awesome.
I'm still kind of okay. I still have yet to reconcile with my life in that we were fucked out of the giant squid in the live action movie.
Yeah, that it was kind of yeah. The
I know it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is a little too silly, but it's like that's literally like the point. It's
yeah,
like,
instead of just like a big hole in the ground, like it would have, yeah, like the horror beyond horrors would have been so much better to see. And if they could have done it, if they could have done it visually, not so goofy. But I don't know. I think the goofiness, honestly, though, is kind of part of the scariness.
giant squid, seeing the Fanta, I know where it's going.
Yes, it's going a number of places, none of where you want it to be.
The tentacle of revelation rarely arrives lubed,
Yeah, or wanted.
but
But
always
I don't know.
satisfying.
I mean, the I don't know. The trying to get a coherent thought out, and it's hard.
Words are hard, man.
But no, like my concern is that this turns out to be some kind of like you said, gay op, and you know like 50 of these things crash into a football game or something like that, and that's like how I see that playing out because it's for a certain religion of peace, like this would be the perfect time of year to do something if you wanted to do it in the Western world, um, because reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, my thought is that it's a gay up because okay, everyone's paying attention to it, and then they execute the plan with all eyes on it, and then yeah, it's kind of like, look, see, we told you.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like that's, I don't know that I feel like that almost gives the government too much credit.
I know it does.
And like I don't want to give them that much credit for being that especially this government. Like I don't want to give them that much credit for being that intelligent. I mean, these are the people that knew Kamala Harris couldn't get elected and made sure she ran against Donald Trump so Donald Trump could get elected for whatever reason they wanted to.
Again, crisis of competency all
Like
across the board.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like I know a lot of people that like were genuinely like upset that Trump got elected. And I told them like, do you realize it doesn't matter who gets elected? Like the president has no power whatsoever, despite what you may think. Like in people compare him to Hitler or people were comparing him to Hitler or whatever. And I'm like, give me a break. Like even Hitler wasn't even that much in control. I mean, honestly, if you want to look at out of all the Axis dictators, probably Mussolini was the best one in the shittiest country, honestly.
Well, we all know who the real power in Nazi Germany was: cocaine.
Yeah, cocaine, methamphetamine, and what you call it, Panzer Chocolat. But no, I don't know. You know, if you do really have, you know, and that's the thing too is you just had we just had a plane a couple of days ago with a bird strike in the engine. They had to, of course, they were able to turn around and divert because they had to shut down the engine. But you
Yeah,
fly your
I saw the Twitter video. That thing is scary.
yeah, and the scary thing is like I go to Walmart or Target and buy the $100 drone or whatever, and just sit outside an airport. I mean, you suck that into an engine, that's gonna that'll screw it up. I don't know if it'll be as bad as a bird strike because a bird is pretty hefty, and usually it's like a goose or something they hit too. So, but
Nice and meaty.
yeah, I mean that's also that's like trying to hit a bullet with another bullet, trying to get that into the jet engine of a plane. But guess what? You try enough times, eventually you'll do it. So, like I don't know. I don't know if another 9/11 type thing would fly in this country because or I don't know if you could get enough people to keep their mouths shut, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best way to put it.
Because that's whenever I hear people like, oh, the moon landing was faked or oh, Stanley Kubrick did it. Well, I come back to that is like something I saw online, which was if Stanley Kubrick was put in charge of faking the moon landing, he would insist on filming on the moon for realism.
I've seen that before, and yeah, I totally agree with that.
Like, so that just doesn't make sense. Plus, like the amount of people that were involved in the Apollo project is probably rivaled only by the amount of people that were involved in the Manhattan project. So you mean to tell me that not a single one of these people has decided over the course of decades to write the expose tell-all book that pokes all the holes in it? I don't know.
And plus, there's
That's
also a video of Neil Armstrong punching that guy who said the moon landing was fake.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
go, Grandpa. Woo!
Yeah, moon landing is fake is kind of right up there with flat Earth with me. Like, come on, guys. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just unfortunately like we decided not to write down the way we did it or preserve much of the technology because for whatever reason we are incredibly short-sighted when it comes to space. Um, so we basically
To be fair, literally every single part was one time use.
yeah. Well, and to be fair, we that was also back when we like actually still worried about like we actually took like information security somewhat seriously and we're like, okay, the Soviets might like actually get this and then be able to make a working moon rocket, which would not be a good thing for us because their current moon rocket is really good at killing Soviet scientists. So we don't want them to get one that's like really good at like going to the moon.
I'm kind of angry at myself for laughing that much at that thought. It's like okay, it's killing them. It's like we need to keep the status quo.
No, they one of the test launches for their moon rocket. It the engines failed because Russia couldn't build the big and they didn't have the materials engineering capability to build like large single engines. So they decided, oh, we'll just put like 33 engines on the bottom of it. What could possibly go wrong? Well, needless to
33
say,
points
like
failure.
most of them failed. The rocket crashed back down to the launch pad, and in the control center was like, I think almost like 2 dozen of the top scientists in the program, and they were all killed.
Yeah, yeah. I remember watching a short documentary of that specific incident, and that was like no shade. That's just like that's legitimate tragedy.
Yeah, I mean it is, and it's just, I mean, and that's why when people say, "Oh, well, communism can work," it's just never been tried. Be like, communism's been tried. Communism doesn't work. Communism's very good at killing people. I mean, I guess if that's what your end goal is, then yes, communism works. But no, it doesn't work. It stifles innovation and it leads you to do very stupid things in the name of a 5-year plan or whatever.
Insert literal Chernobyl here.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the perfect example of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of I hope maybe I'm not so excited with Musk being so involved with space because I've never been an Elon bro. I've always hated the guy, and I've never understood why he was so popular on the left for a while. Especially considering like his entire family made their fortune on diamond mining in apartheid South Africa, which is probably like worse than slavery was in this country, um, to say the least. But hey, who am I to judge how you make your money? Except when it's like on one of the most corrupt industries in the world.
That's a very valid point.
But yeah, his like as much as I appreciate a good Doge meme, do we really need to have a department in the US government named Doge? Like, really? Yeah, I think people really think that he is like in real life Tony Stark. And I'm like, no, he's like in real life James Bond villain who wants to go live on Mars for some reason and watch the Earth burn.
I don't know. Here is something that puts Elon Musk into perspective. Look at a picture of him during the eBay days and look at him now and just how vain he is for like his hair transplants and shit like that. There is like the dude is vain, self-absorbed, and it's just like type A personality and stuff. Like he's never like Musk has never created anything. He just comes in
Oh
with
no.
investment and takes all the credit.
Oh no. I mean, yeah, like true creatives, you never like hear of them. Like the true creatives like stay behind the scenes and generally don't want credit for what they do. Yeah, but he's an idea man. I mean, he's a face. Communism mango. Word art. So communism is like retardation squared.
It's retardation cubed, motherfucker.
I mean, retardation cubed is it works well with communism because I mean, since brutalist architecture is so popular in communism, kind of goes the idea of a cube of a retardation cube is very communistic.
Well, we did have the meat cube not too long ago, so story checks out.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Just the drone thing, man. That just I don't know. I don't. It's either them seeing how it's either the powers that be seeing how far they can push something before it it's just, Marx. I don't know what Marx was working with. What Marx was working with was way more than fourth dimensional retardation. That guy was oh
We're
nothing like
We are creeping up on hypercube level of what the fuckery.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're talking about dodecahedrons here. But I think I don't know. The funny thing is, and the funny thing is with the interesting thing will be with the drone thing will be to see if it just stops, if it just disappears one day, if we just stop reporting on it.
Well, I've always been a big proponent. Well, I don't think proponent's the word to use, but I've always championed this here notion stuff that the news cycle is artificial in the sense that, like, okay, here's an example. I've gotten this question more than once of like, hey Zen, you're a geologist. What's with all these earthquakes? Is this important? It's like, no, this is background noise. It's just being reported on. So like, it's artificial. Like the scare is artificial, and that it's being reported on of something that's happening all the time. You're just hearing about it and think the sky is falling.
Yeah, it's just like people make a bigger deal now, like, oh my God, there's all these tornadoes or blah blah blah. Well, everybody has a fucking phone in their pocket. Everybody has a camera in their pocket now. So of course you're going to see more tornadoes. You're going to see more damage from severe weather because it's easier to take pictures of it than it was in 1915 when I'm sure there were just as many tornadoes, there were just as many severe storms. It's just there wasn't the media, there wasn't the media there to capture it.
Exactly.
But that's neither here nor there. And I think we're 10 years past when New York was supposed to be under 4 feet of water.
Oh, don't get me started on the green scam.
It still bothers me that I see windmills popping up on top of every mountain ridge because that's efficient because you have to turn them off when the wind blows too hard because evidently they break. I don't know.
No. My favorite thing is a picture of a nice green, pristine pasture with a bunch of cows grazing and stuff. And it's like they want you to believe that this here is going to end the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
that really sums it up.
or they can replace that pristine pasture with solar panels, which do nothing but which generate power, but also generate a lot of waste heat back into the atmosphere. So wait a minute here.
Actually, not too long ago, I think it was India. They had like this giant array of solar panels out in the ocean. Then a typhoon came by and wrecked it all, and then became just garbage.
Yeah, solar is not the way to go. Just be if you're for green energy, then you have to be for nuclear power. I'm sorry. There's no that's a non-negotiable for me. If you're anti-nuclear power, then you're anti-green energy because nuclear power is the safest, cleanest energy that we have right now. Unfortunately, people don't realize that coal kills infinitely more people in 1 year than nuclear power has killed in its entire lifetime. But hey, who am I to argue with idiots?
Well, that's the thing. They'll beat you with experience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'll be look at Fukushima. One person died from at Fukushima, and it was from a heart attack. I mean, I'm sure there might be a small uptick in cancer rates, but I don't think any of the really nasty stuff got out of Fukushima. I think it was all just noble gases, which like have half lives in days, so they're not really going to hang around long enough to mess with your DNA. Now, Chernobyl, on the other hand, like yeah, when you have cesium and strontium hanging around in the ecosystem, like that's going to be no bueno for you. But that's a different story.
I know we need more radiological incidents of people finding the magic dust that sparkles.
Ooh, this rock is warm. I'm going to put it in my pants. Yes, that's exactly where you should put it.
I told my hot rock story before, but I'll tell it again for anyone who hasn't heard before. So when I was at university, I was hanging around with my gamer buds, and we were all having drinks before having our RPG session, and one of the guys was a hippy dippy, wicked kind of guy, and he was like, "Hey, Zen, you're in geology. Can you identify this hot rock for me?" Sure. Me several beers in. It's like it's hot to the touch. Gears start turning. The hamster's struggling. Wait a minute. Yeet. It's like, motherfucker, why do you have uranium?
Back in the good old days when you could just actually order uranium.
Actually, you still can. It's just the amount. You could buy like a few ounces. You can buy a few ounces. Like I could like I'm not talking about the enriched stuff, but like I could buy uraninite and keratinite, and like I actually do have a couple, and I actually do have a couple of radioactive rocks in my rock collection and stuff. It's not that hard. It's just if you're going to be buying like metric tons of the stuff, then someone's going to ask questions.
Well, I mean, technically, if you have a lump of coal, you have a radioactive rock. I mean, it's just very, very low, but
Motherfucker, granite countertops are radioactive.
yeah, I was gonna say, I literally where I live, well, there's a reason I have to radon test my basement every year. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I know you and me had this conversation. We had that one conversation one time of local geology. But for you, for those of you that don't know, okay. So one of the mineral components of granite is potassium feldspar, and potassium is a radioactive element. So the potassium feldspar decays, and one of the daughter products is radon, specifically radon gas, and that there shit is nasty if you breathe it. That's why if you live in a environment where the bedrock is granite, and that shit can go through your foundation and build up in your basement. So if you step in your basement one day, you just go dead.
Yeah, it used to be I want to say like thankfully there's more awareness around it now. And it's not so bad now that most basements are concrete. But back when you had masonry basements, that's when you had the big problem. And especially when you had and also when you had basements with dirt floors, because it would just come up straight through the dirt. But you still
Yeah.
can have a problem with coming in through your drains, which is usually where I test because that's the lowest. I determined that's the lowest point in my basement naturally.
Well, also you can also think of it as being the path of it's kind of think of it like electricity. It's like the path of least resistance.
Yeah, well, the more I learn about electricity, the more I get confused about electricity because sometimes the path of least resistance is the path you least expect. That's kind of something you learn when you start messing around with integrated circuit boards.
Yes. Yeah, I remember. Probably electricity is probably one of my more favorite subjects when I took physics.
Electricity scares the hell out of me. That's the
Oh,
one thing.
that's the one thing I will not touch. I do my
Yeah,
own carpentry. I do my own plumbing. I do not touch electric anything.
I'll change an outlet, but I shut the entire house off. I don't take a chance because once I thought I turned off the rate breaker and went to take the hot screw off, and it knocked the screwdriver out of my hand and put me on my ass.
Yeah, fun
So
times.
yeah, so electrician didn't label that one right.
Yeah, I'm thankful when I bought my house. I had to for the sake of insurance, I had to get the electrical upgraded. But the guy who came and did it, he owns a small little business with him and his apprentice, and he's like ex CN Rail electrical engineer. So
Yeah, so he
his
actually
work,
knows what he's doing.
yeah, so his work was actually pretty good.
Yeah, the whole thing with the pen tester, that was back when I was younger and like didn't like understand the concept of like maybe just take that multimeter that you have and use it and plug it in there. Just to see, for shits and giggles. Um, Instead, I just left the multimeter in its bag and went right to the screwdriver because why bother to check? You can just do it as fast as possible.
Masterfully done.
Yeah,
Masterfully
I
done.
mean, that's how you learn life lessons. Is you just stick a screwdriver in a hot outlet.
Did, did, uh, did you ever watch Titus's TV show?
Yeah, like a long time ago. Oh
Yeah.
God, man. Oh.
Well, my favorite scene for that there was the flashback with him and his dad, and his dad's is just like, look on the newspaper, and the wife is like, stop it, and like, no, he's not going to learn otherwise. You're not going to
I
do that again, are you?
I remember once I noticed the 220 line for my dryer was not plugged into the plug all the way. And for whatever reason, I was doing something in the wash tub for or the where the washer was emptying. So with one hand in the wash tub full of water and the other hand, I grabbed the 220 line. And needless to say, I found myself on the floor not knowing how I got there. And I didn't even touch the contacts for the 220 line. It must have been enough that, yeah, it taught me another lesson, which is don't play with electricity with a hand in with one of your hands in water. So it is really, sometimes I look at it and it's a miracle that I'm still alive.
We're men. It's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I like to say it teaches you lessons, but it really doesn't. Like well, I haven't. No, I can't. I shocked myself yesterday, so I can't even say I haven't shocked myself in a while. Well, that doesn't even count. If you're like, that's like that's like that's like Timu electrical engineer. It's not even wish.com. Like we're on Timu level now.
I think the worst electrical shock I ever got was in the slum apartment I was living in before I bought my house. The slumlord was out of town. It was just his mother looking after her place, and there was a big rainstorm, and the roof leaked, and it was getting into the electrical, specifically the fire alarm system. So I was just so it's like buddy was out of town, and I was there with his mother, and it's just like, all right, Scott, I'm just gonna rip the wire off just to shut it up. And it was like, go for it, and I got full again, like it was pouring water on the electrical system, and I was just like, I don't know what a breaker is. Fuck it, I just want to shut this off and go back to bed. All right, I'm done. It hurts so much.
Credit to that, though. I mean, that's like credit to like the older. I don't want to say analog, but the older electrical hardware to like still be working when it's getting water poured on it. Today's stuff would just give up and die.
Yeah, yeah, that was a thing, but so it's just like I just want to sleep and turn it off. It's like oh, the other time when I was a kid, my sister grabbed an electrical fence, like a farm fence, but she grabbed it with both hands at the same time, and she was grounded. So the circuit was just going through, so she was fine. So it's like a bird. Like for anyone who sees birds on a wire, that's pretty much what was happening.
Yeah.
So she was perfectly fine, but I made the mistake of touching her to get her off of it. So when I touched her, I became the ground.
Yeah, which was not fine.
No, I was just like, it's like
Yeah, I've had the electrical fence experience, but that's just mildly unpleasant. It's not really that bad.
No, I think yeah, the shock of like a house line is worse than that. That there's just like ow.
But the drone mystery continues. Unfortunately, I have to depart at this point.
Well, we got a couple hours out of this chit chat. This was fun. This was nice.
Yeah, it's I. This is one of those things that I feel like it's either going to be a nothing burger or we're
It's
going to
not.
be invading another country.
It's nothing or everything. There's no half-assing it at this point.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I hope it turns out to be a nothing burger and just a lot of boomer or just a lot of people not knowing what they're looking at. But I don't know. The way things are going, yeah, I don't know.
Oh well. Best case scenario at this point: ET to porno.
Exactly.
so, so
starring whoever is in it, whether they want to be or not.
so with that pleasant mental image, everyone, thanks for coming. Take it easy. Later.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Same here.